Welcome to season 2 of the Bigger Than You podcast, your go-to weekly podcast that blends energetics and mindset to help you do whatever it takes to bring your vision to life, whilst having fun on the way. I'm Jenna Holloway, your host and multi-award-winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. My purpose is to help mission-led business owners and visionaries who want to inspire change by leading the way in a space that otherwise may feel unnerving and too difficult. This is Bigger Than You. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. If this is the first time you're joining me, thank you so much. And if you are a regular listener, thank you for coming back. Today, I'm going to talk to you about trauma. And I have just finished my first session with a new client. And in that session, we talked about what limiting beliefs they think they have and how they like to feel instead, because it always comes down to the feeling. How you feel will influence how you act. And when you feel empowered, when you feel at ease, at peace, and worthy and good enough, when you trust in yourself and that you're always supported and all of these things, then you can allow your intuition to guide you and do the things that your intuition is telling you to do without letting your ego come in and stop you. And so our higher self or God or universe, whatever you want to talk, whatever you want to call it, guides you to get to your goals, the things that you want to achieve through the path of least resistance. But we get in our own way. We let our ego stop us. You are your biggest block because you'll hold yourself back from achieving the things that you want to achieve because of this caveman brain that we have. When we realize that we can actually achieve whatever we want to achieve in a relatively short time span, like we can quantum leap, we can collapse our timelines and just make incredible things happen because actually there are infinite possibilities. And it's us that stop it, that block it, that make it harder, that make it unachievable because we get in our own ways and we create resistance and we bring ourselves out of alignment because we don't trust ourselves or we don't trust our intuition or we fear success or we don't think we're good enough. We basically stop ourselves from achieving our full potential or anywhere near our full potential because we're in our own way. And it's the subconscious programming that is making you do those things because your brain is only designed to keep you alive and it doesn't care about your big dream or doesn't care about being confident or happy or successful. Its number one goal is to keep you alive. And so it will give you all of the things, all of the uneasy, heavy energy of imposter syndrome and self-doubt and overthinking and all of the fear-based energy and thinking that is going to stop you from doing the things that are going to make you wildly successful and financially and spiritually and emotionally free and like absolutely living your best fucking life. You're going to stop yourself because your subconscious mind doesn't care about any of those things. It only cares about keeping you safe. We are programmed for generations and thousands of years to believe that life has to be hard or that it should be a struggle or that you have to play it small and all of these stories that we've just programmed our mind with based on things that we hear from our parents and growing up in society and in the media. You know, the media is terrible for giving you this you are not worthy belief. And so we're all walking around thinking we're not good enough and we're not worthy of massive success or whatever because we're conditioned to think that. So this episode is going to focus particularly on trauma. I'm going to talk to you about what it is, how it can affect you, and how we can actually work on it and shift it very quickly. Let's get started. Trauma is essentially the response that you experience when you are overwhelmed. And actually, I want you to realize that trauma is not something that people only get in war zones, things like that. Trauma is just something above and beyond what you can cope with in the moment. And so, for example, being 2 years old and the only person that your mum looks after, and then suddenly a new baby coming along into the family, that can be traumatic. And actually, that's something that I've worked with on a client recently. They formed a belief at 2 years old that they have to fend for themselves and they have to do everything themselves now because it's no longer looked after in the same way as before. And actually, then they have to do everything themselves. And this is what we call trauma drive. It's believing that you have to work so hard because you're not good enough. And I can relate to this myself. I formed that belief as a teenager that I am only worthy if I achieved very, very highly. And so I got top A levels. I just have done very well at whatever I put my mind to my whole life. And until I came to do the inner work, once I qualified as a hypnotherapist and I understood about the subconscious mind and I invested in my own inner work, it's then that I came to realize that I had achieved all of these things because I didn't think that I was worthy unless I did it. And it was a massive game changer for me because I did that work myself. And now, and I know I'm going to say this because it's really important, because I know that there's a limiting belief out there that you may be listening to this and you may know that you have trauma drive, but you are scared of doing anything about it because what if it makes you less successful? You're okay with working ridiculously hard because you're doing so well for yourself, but actually it's available to you, the feeling of you're absolutely worthy just as you are. And you can still work hard. This is the amazing thing. You get to have freedom when you release this feeling and this belief that you're only worthy when you're working hard and being successful. You don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be held up, hostage to that belief. Trauma drive is not fun because you just don't believe you're good enough unless you're achieving. And you want, like, this is so relevant. You all want to feel worthy, regardless of what's going on in your business, regardless of whether the client on the discovery call said yes or not. Like, you are separate from your business, and your business is a reflection of you. And so when you feel worthy as fuck, because you are good enough and you always have been, and everything that you do is good enough because you just are good enough. When you get to a place that you feel that, then you can work from an energy of freedom because you don't have to prove yourself. You don't have to earn a certain amount from a launch, or you don't have to get a certain amount of new clients every month or whatever. It doesn't matter. You can be in alignment and come at your work from a place of self-trust and always being supported and feeling at ease with yourself, because you don't have to do things a certain way to feel worthy. You are not validated by external circumstances. So that's where you want to get to. And it feels so amazing to still be extremely successful, but to be okay with things happening as they happen and not feeling like you need to be in control of the outcome all the time. Absolutely not. So trauma, is just something that is above and beyond what you can cope with in the moment. And so how it affects you is that when you experience something traumatic, it is stored. It is like burnt into the dashboard in your mind so that you are never not on high alert around anything remotely familiar to that event. So this dashboard, then let's just rewind a little bit. Your subconscious mind is always scanning your circumstances and the things that are happening around you, right? You're only conscious of what you're conscious of, but your subconscious mind is aware of everything. And so your subconscious mind is constantly scanning your surroundings and putting it through a filter of what you have experienced before. And the things that have been traumatic to you are on the forefront of that filter, let's say the dashboard. And so anything that reminds your subconscious mind of the traumatic experiences that you've had before will put your body into fight or flight, will make you feel on high alert, on edge, so that, for example, you're in a situation you can never, you might be a person who never suffers with panic attacks or anxiety, particularly. But if your subconscious mind is reminded of something traumatic to you, boom, you can have a panic attack out of nowhere. Or you can really struggle to process information if you're being spoken to. Let's say, for example, you've had a traumatic health incident in the past, then any experience with doctors, hospitals, dentists, anything like that is going to put you into that fight or flight mode. And you lose your language centers when you're in that situation. So you can be trying to take something in, but not understanding, literally not understanding the words that you're hearing because you're in a traumatic, your body is experiencing that trauma over and over again. And it doesn't go away unless you do work in a particular way. Okay. You cannot talk your trauma out. You cannot rely on time being a healer for the trauma to go away after a certain amount of time. You might think it's gone away, but it's not. It's there. And there is such thing as repressed trauma as well, where you don't even know that you've got it. Everyone has trauma. And it is possible to work through it without knowing that so you don't have to know that you've got it to be able to work through it with me, for example. I don't know what everybody else does. I do things my way, obviously. So I'm talking from how I do things here. So when you come to work with me, we do the work on the limiting belief and we get your subconscious mind to be programmed for the way you want to feel. Okay. Another limiting belief can be that you fear success. And so if you believe that if you are wildly successful, then you're going to suddenly not have time for enjoying yourself, or you're gonna, whatever it is, like be taken away from your family. If you're on a subconscious level, you believe that success equals bad, then you're never going to allow yourself to be successful. You will block yourself from it. And this can show up as imposter syndrome. This can show up as massive procrastination. This can show up as manifesting things in your life to stop you being successful. For example, having, let's say, landing a new client and then something going wrong straight away afterwards, or them saying yes to you and then turning around and saying, oh no, I can't do it for X, Y reason. Or having a really successful month in your business and then getting ill straight afterwards. There's a really good book actually called The Big Leap by Gay Hendrick. And this explains really nicely about this upper limit that we have in our mind, whereby we can have, okay, let me just explain this really simply for you. We have a bandwidth of where we are okay in our lives. And that can be about happiness, success, feelings of being at peace, all of these things. We have a bandwidth for it. Okay. And this is why some people attract bad things after bad things after bad things, because that is what they're available for. Subconsciously and energetically, they are available for misery. And so that's what they attract, because they're programmed to believe that that's what they deserve. Literally, like, it sounds awful, but it is true. And it's all down to the experiences that you've had as a child and the things that you've heard and the beliefs that you have formed. And it's all completely changeable. If you're hearing this and knowing that this is you, then it's okay, because there is a way through this to completely change that. Do the subconscious reprogramming so you free yourself from that bandwidth and actually keep moving what you're available for. So you're available for being abundantly happy and successful and living the life of what you dream, what you vision in your mind. You can achieve that. It just takes the reprogramming, because you can do the things like affirmations and journaling, like you can do that until the cows come home, but it's not actually going to move the needle, because these subconscious blocks are stubborn and they need shifting powerfully. A powerful modality like hypnotherapy and all the other things that I do to shift it so that you feel different energetically and subconsciously. Your programming is different and that you are available for success, abundance, happiness, letting it be easy. Okay, so many people have a subconscious belief that you have to work so hard to be successful. And it's so not true. You block your intuition, you block the path of least resistance because you don't believe that you're worthy of getting there and allowing it to be easy. And so the work that I do is so powerful because it shifts all of this subconscious shit that you are carrying around that feels heavy, that causes you to procrastinate and hold yourself back in so many ways, and allows the overthinking to make you feel unworthy or not good enough. All of this is changeable, but it requires the deep inner work to process it. So the trauma will hold you back, as will any limiting belief. And some of those beliefs you'll know that you have, and some of those beliefs you won't know you have, but you'll find them because I will guide you to be more in tune with your body and to be more in tune with your intuition and everything. It's a whole process. It's about the subconscious. It's about your conscious mind too. It's about your habits. It's about your energy. It's about what you're available for. It's about so much. And it all comes together to shift the needle of what you're available for so that you can live your life from a place of freedom and ease. And therefore you can access the path of least resistance, and you can quantum leap. It can just be that easy. As soon as you're in alignment, it will drop in. Whatever you want, it will drop in, this or better. As long as you don't create resistance by slowing the process down because you believe that it has to be a certain way. Like I go into all of this in my programs, but that's another topic for another day, right? For now, just know that when you're in alignment, it will drop in. How the abundance, what you want, the feelings that you want to create, they will drop in for you so quickly when you're in alignment with who you truly are and what you're here for, your soul's purpose. You need to get out of your own way in order to bring that to life and to really, truly live in alignment. And in order to do that, you need to release the limiting beliefs. And so just quickly, before we finish, how do you work on trauma? Because I know that it is going to be holding you back. If you believe that you have to go through months of therapy and opening a can of worms and then never feeling good and it feeling so hard, and like if you've got a business to run, you of course you're going to stop yourself doing something that is going to potentially make you erupt and be like an emotional mess. Absolutely not. That's not how I work with trauma. And so let me give you a little analogy. You play a CD, right? And that CD plays as long as it's not scratched up. Now, think of every memory that you have like a CD, and all of our memories are encoded with an emotion. So when you've got something on that dashboard that is trauma, it's going to play that CD as soon as your subconscious mind is reminded of anything that is familiar, that's vaguely like that traumatic incident. Now, an analogy to describe how we work through it is like scratching up that CD so that that memory is no longer on the dashboard. It's a neutralized memory and it will not trigger your fight or flight system. So you'll still have the memory, but you'll look back on it and it will feel so different. It will feel neutral and you'll be able to stay in your power. And what I mean by that is you'll be able to not be held back in life, because subconsciously, if you've got trauma, subconsciously, you're going to stop yourself doing things that are going to make you come face to face with trauma. So for example, if you've been traumatized by a failed launch, or if you've been humiliated online before, then that's trauma. There's no way you're going to be able to show up as your fully expressed self and get visible. You're probably not even going to be able to get yourself on stories if you have experienced something that reminds your subconscious mind of that. Then you're going to hold yourself back in so many ways. And if you've got a business to run and you know that you want to be visible in order to build the know, like, and trust and actually show your clients who you are and attract the dream clients, that's really, truly going to make you feel lit up in your business and achieve what you know you're capable of, you're not going to be able to do it until you work through that trauma and basically scratch up the CD so that it no longer plays. So you can release yourself from that feeling and feel free and bold and confident and able to do the things that you just want to do. Because actually, how you feel intellectually, logically, rationally is here, but the subconscious mind will have the feelings back here because of the inner work that needs doing. And when we do that inner work and release that heavy energy that's holding you back, your feelings drop into alignment and suddenly it gets to be easy. And so I hope that has cleared up things for you, helped you to feel more clear on your own life, your own circumstances, what you've been through and how it might be affecting you in your business now. And if you want to ask me any questions about this, then come and DM me. Thank you so much for listening. I will see you next week. Bye. My mission with this podcast and why I started it was to serve. And so I really hope that everything I've shared with you today and in previous episodes is serving you and helping you. However, if you're listening and you would like to work with me, then obviously I work too. I do solution-focused hypnotherapy and much more. And my program is a program that I'm really proud of. So if you're interested in this and would like some more information about how it works and whether it would be right for you, then do get in touch with me via the information in the show notes. Thanks again for listening, and if you enjoyed this episode, I would love for you to share it with a friend or stick it up on stories on Instagram and tag me at Believe and Achieve with Jenna. See you next week.